From the News Channel 5 Network, this is SportsLine.
Hey there, SportsLine on your television. Steve Lehman here with you. Glad you are here with us on this Monday night on News Channel 5. Plus, we're going to talk all about the St. Jude Country Music Marathon coming up this weekend here in Nashville, the 15th year of the race. We'll talk about that coming up over the course of the next hour. But first, some news and notes from today. Big news at Tennessee State. They finally have a basketball coach. After a search that lasted more than a month to replace Travis Williams, Dana Ford is the new head basketball coach at Tennessee State. 29 years of age, I believe. I'm still doing some research on this. I believe he is the youngest Division I men's coach in the country. So a big hire by Tennessee State. Ford, of course, was on John Cooper's staff at TSU from 2009 to 2011, when really they kind of rebuilt a program that was struggling at that point. Now he's back, trying to do the same thing, taking over a program that went just 5-25 last year. He'll try to bring them back to contender status in the OVC. Ford also has experience under Greg Marshall at Wichita State. He played and then was the associate head coach the last couple years at Illinois State as well. So Dana Ford, the new head coach at Tennessee State. We'll have much more on that come up tonight on the news at 10 o'clock. Tennessee's search still continues. It looked for a long time over the weekend like the guy might be Michael White, but today we find out that White has decided to stay at Louisiana Tech and not take the Tennessee job. The sticking point apparently is language within the contract about guaranteed money and essentially the job security that provides. White has an incredible team coming back, a senior laden team from a conference championship squad this year, coming back next year at Louisiana Tech. He's a hot name, just 37 years of age, perhaps thinking that maybe there's an even better job or a bigger job out there waiting for him down the road if they have success next year. But for Tennessee, it means a swing and a miss, at least on one of your first candidates in trying to replace Gonzo Martin. Now it appears the focus and attention turns to Donnie Tyndall, the head coach at Southern Mississippi. Tyndall, of course, known a little bit in these parts as an assistant coach under Kermit Davis at Middle Tennessee several years back. And then he went on to Morehead State, where he had great success, won a couple of conference championships there in the OVC, and now he's won 56 games the past 2 years at Southern Miss in Conference USA. Tyndall's a guy that has a big personality. So not just is he a basketball coach, but he's the type of guy that can win over a press conference or fire up the fan base, which is something that you feel would be a pretty good fit at Tennessee right now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there over the course of the next several hours, possibly several days. You never know how long these coaching search things go on. The Grizzlies taking on the Thunder tonight, game 2 of that series. Off to a good start with a lead at Oklahoma City, trying to even that series up at a game apiece. One other basketball note, congrats to our former intern, Christina Fogarty from Vanderbilt. She signed today with the Minnesota Lynx, so officially getting underway with her WNBA dreams. And finally, what a cool scene today in Boston at the 118th running of the Boston Marathon. More than 36,000 people on the course today. Last year, of course, it was tragedy at the finish line. Today, it was triumph. When you have more than 30,000 people finishing one of the toughest races, maybe the toughest race on the planet. We had an American win for the first time in over 3 decades today on the men's side. But more than anything, it was just people arm in arm and people cheering from all over the place, as hope and joy really kind of returned to that race today after last year. It was so rudely and terribly interrupted. And that was a really special moment today. I saw several tweets, in fact, of one sequence of events that I thought really summed up the day. And that was a moment in which a runner basically collapsed at the 26-mile marker. You know, literally hundreds of yards left in this long journey today, and he couldn't get up. And fellow racers came by first to pick him up and try to kind of get him to take steps with them as they finished, and he couldn't even do that. So a couple other runners came by and literally picked him up and carried him across the finish line. There's that type of teamwork that, of course, we saw last year during the tragic events at the finish line. This year you see it in a much more sportsman-like stage. But just a really special day, I thought, in Boston today. And we're talking about the marathon tonight as we're joined by Elaine McCormick, who's the race director for the St. Jude Country Music Marathon, and also Kelly Givens, who's been around the race for a long time, a hero status now with the race. So thank you very much for coming in. It's always great to talk to you guys about the race.
Thanks for having us.
I want to start first with the scenes in Boston today, because I think anybody who's involved in the sports community, or frankly the American community, was touched by what happened today. But first, both of your impressions as you watch fellow runners, fellow participants go at it today in Boston.
Well, that's what attracted me to the sport, to work for these everyday athletes who the resiliency is just fantastic to see them bring together as a community and make sure that everybody finishes. And I know from a runner standpoint, you probably feel the same way.
I do, and watching it today, I tried to focus at work, but I was watching it some live, and it was amazing to see everyone pull together and just come back at this strong. It was really encouraging, inspirational to see that.
Kelly, how do you think the running community has, I don't know if changed is the right word, but maybe rallied around one another since the events of last year?
I just think the running community is a very strong, a community, a family. They're all about whatever it takes, like you said, encouraging their fellow runners to get across the course, to help others no matter what it takes to actually finish this and show that we are strong and we do support each other.
Was today an important step, you feel like, for the community, for everyone to be out there? They had record numbers of participants. To see that many people finish the race, to see that many eyeballs on the race this year, how important was this day to kind of get the running community back running on their feet?
I think it was very important, and it said online, they are back and things have changed, and just to give that confidence back to people. People are still somewhat apprehensive about things, and I think it was very important to have that support, and for such a well attended event. I think it was very important for the running community and for everyone just to come together as a whole, runner or not, and show their support.
So many people ran for specific causes, or just with last year's event in mind today in Boston. Elaine, as you guys get prepared for this year's running of the St. Jude Country Music Marathon, the 15th edition, coming up on Saturday morning, what have the entry levels been like this year? Have you guys seen a spike in participants here for this year's race, perhaps linking back to the events of last year?
We have definitely seen an increase in participation year over year, and I think it has to do with a number of things. People want to continue to run. We've got a grandstand of a year. 15th edition, people always kind of hook on to something in terms of a number, but we've also made some changes to the event to make it more exciting. So all of that together have made people come, I think, in droves to this event.
We're going to talk a lot about some of those changes to this year's race, all the details, everything you need to know, whether you're running, whether you're going to go out there as a fan this week, or maybe just trying to avoid some street closures as you try to go on your way on Saturday. We will get to all that, much more, coming up over the course of the next hour as we preview this Saturday's St. Jude Country Music Marathon right here in Music City. Stay with us. You're watching SportsLine on News Channel 5+.